Alright guys, so today I'm going to be talking about beginner bikes, what everyone says about beginner bikes, what I think you should do about beginner bikes, and what I did as a beginner bike, because all three are different things. What's this guy doing? Because as the Reddit will have you believe, you should start out on a bicycle with full gear just to get used to the gear and be extra safe. And then after a bicycle, work your way up to like an electric bike. And then after that, maybe you'll be ready for something with an engine. Then you can maybe get like a dirt bike. Then get, I don't know, a 150 road bike. Then work your way up. And maybe by the time you retire, you'll have enough skill to ride a 1000. What I'm gonna say is there's obviously beginner bikes and then there's non-beginner bikes, but it's not impossible to learn on a bike just because it has more power. To me, there's a lot that goes into a beginner bike other than just the amount of cc's, and we're gonna get into that. Now, one of the main problems for me personally starting out was simply the fact that I'm short. For me, I think learning would have been a lot easier on just a shorter bike in general. I mean, even if it was like a 1000, but it had like a 30-inch seat height or something. And granted, it is an R6. It doesn't make a lot of power down low. So I pretty much babied it when I first started riding. This thing like never got above 9,000 RPM. I never felt an issue where power was an issue, where I was like, holy shit, I'm going way too fast, or like I can't control it, or a whiskey problem. I've never had that problem. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're getting a beginner bike. I mean, if you're short like me, it'll be a lot easier for you to learn the basics and stuff on a bike that you don't have to worry about not tipping over, you know? So for background, let me just start with my experience. So as a kid, I never even rode like dirt bikes or anything. My first experience on a motorcycle or anything like that was at the MSF course on a Honda Rebel 200 or something like that, 300, I don't know what they had. But that was my first experience on a motorcycle. Before that, my only experience with a throttle was on a Razor scooter. And I passed my MSF course with flying colors. Didn't get any points on anything. Some people have it and some people don't have it, and what part of it is self-control and judgment. If you know you can be responsible, you have a little bit of fear for the machine, a little bit of respect, you can ride anything. But if you're too cocky, and you're like, oh, I can hop on an R1 and be doing wheelies after a week of riding and all that stuff, yeah, you're going to be more likely to crash. But I babied this thing for like a couple of weeks probably. And even now, I know I'm still nowhere near like where I could be. I'm nowhere near like the limits of this machine. So right now, I'm on the R6, obviously. I'm gonna hop on the R3 later on and just give you a side-by-side, back-to-back comparison about what would make that bike a better beginner bike than this one. And again, I'm not going to be like the guys saying like, oh, you need to start out on a small CC, because I'd be a hypocrite. I started out on a 600 with 0 motorcycle experience, and I never crashed, haven't gotten any tickets. I've just been responsible with it, you know. But I will point out, I'll say this, I'll admit it. If I would have learned on the R3 and I wouldn't have been so stubborn and dead set on the R6, I probably would have had a better time learning. Because I rode my R6 for a while, and then my brother got the R3, and then I rode his R3, and I'm like, damn, this is like awesome. And like it's awesome and fun in a whole different way. Like the seating position is so much more comfortable. I can touch the ground on it better. Learning on it would have been so much easier. So I'll get into some things that, from my personal experience, I haven't ridden every single bike in the world. I'm giving you my experience purely between an R6 and an R3. Some things that make the R6 a bad beginner bike is, you know, depending on who you are and your riding style and stuff like I was talking about, it could be too much power for you. Some bad things, it's high. It has a very high seat height. I think it's got like the highest seat height of all super sports. Go ahead and fact check me on that. I've seen a lot of people say that the S1000RR does, but if you look at the seat heights on Google, the R6 is very clearly like an inch taller. The aggressive riding position can actually make it kind of hard doing slow speed maneuvers, because rather than the bars being up and you kind of pushing forward, you're above the handlebars, and you got to kind of drop your elbows in order to really push the bars. And it doesn't have as good of a turning radius. It feels more awkward in slow speed turns and stuff. So in that sense, it doesn't make a good beginner bike. Some other things that aren't really the bike itself would be cost. It's going to cost more, both for the bike itself and for insurance. You got to take that in, because as a beginner rider, maybe you don't like motorcycling. You know how many beginner bikes you see for sale because people get them and then they realize they don't really like riding, or they never ride, so they're giving up on it. So in that sense, a cheaper, smaller investment would be better. You might not potentially be wasting as much money. Again, one of the reasons why I went to the R6 is because I knew the R6 was my dream bike. It wasn't just some bike that I picked up. I specifically wanted an R6, and so I got it. I knew I was going to be into it. I knew I was going to stick with it. Alright guys, so now as you can see, I'm on the R3. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say, spoiler alert, the R3 is a better beginner bike, no matter how you look at it. It's smaller, easier to maneuver, it's lighter, it has less power, so it's very manageable to someone who doesn't have like any experience with throttle control or anything. It's better on gas, it's cheaper, insurance is cheaper. So pretty much anything that would appeal to a beginner, it is better. That wasn't pinned by any means, but it's definitely significantly slower than my R6. But the reasons all these things are better, I'll just say this, is as far as like being more comfortable, cheaper, better on gas and stuff, as I kind of alluded to earlier, a lot of people who are like just getting into motorcycling, maybe they're just testing it out. I think a lot of people that maybe get into it, it's not for them. I mean, how many people do you know that just have like a motorcycle that's sitting in their garage or something and they never ride it? So that's why a beginner bike is also good, not just in the sense that, oh, it's a lower cc so it's less dangerous or whatever. They're designed to be better just in general. Most of them have like ABS, like this R3 has ABS on it, which is why I think it kind of got misconstrued, not misconstrued, but like on like Reddit and like the people that will say, oh, if you start out on a 600 you'll die, that's what lower cc bikes are for. Like, they're an option, definitely. That's the thing though, is like they're an option. I'm not going to be the guy to tell you you need to get a beginner bike, but I will be the guy to tell you, as someone who started out on an R6, you'll have a lot better time learning on a smaller bike. I mean, that's just how it's gonna go. They're more manageable. It's easier to like learn the basics on it. And you know, that's why obviously people recommend starting on a smaller cc bike. I'm not gonna say like out of necessity, like you'll kill yourself if you're going anything faster. You could very easily kill yourself on this too. It's not so much about top speed, it's about how fast you get there. And to me, that's why I like higher cc bikes, not just for going super fast, but it just comes in handy. Merging, like if you're at a stop and you're turning onto like a road that's 55 miles an hour, it's nice to be able to just get up to that speed and not have to bang through gears. You know, on the other hand, that could be fun. Some people might find that fun. Feels like you're going faster than you are almost. You're ripping full tuck, banging through gears up until 80. But I really just wanted to focus on kind of like why lower cc bikes are better beginner bikes. And it's so much more than just oh, they're lower cc's, so they're safer, you're not going to go as fast or kill yourself on them, whatever. There's so many more things that make these just better, more comfortable. Like if you're starting out riding and you end up on like a 600 or a 1000, you're like, damn, this bike sucks to ride. You know, it hurts, it's not comfortable, my neck hurts, my back hurts. But that's why beginner bikes like this are a good stepping stone into more. You get to enjoy being on two wheels with almost like none of the drawbacks. And I also notice when people talk about CCs, they almost always just talk about it with like sport bikes. Maybe it's just because that's part of the community that I'm in, so that's what I see more. I don't really pay attention to like what's said much in like the cruiser community, but I've never seen like a Harley guy or something saying that you should start out on, I don't know, what's the smallest Harley, a Sportster or something? I mean, every person that I know that's like owned a Harley or a cruiser or something like that has just gotten one that they wanted, that appealed to them. Thinking about getting into riding, seriously, just consider like what kind of person you are. Are you a fast learner? Do you have good self-control? Are you responsible? Do you have prior like motorcycle knowledge, even if it isn't hands-on stuff? All of that can help make you a more capable rider no matter what you hop on. So basically just do some research, okay? If you think you can handle a bigger bike and think that you can have the throttle control and responsibility to be able to do that, not whiskey throttle it, not get going faster than you should around a corner, etc., then sure, go for it. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. Just wanted to share my opinion and some comparison. You know, what could be a good beginner bike for you.